I was working so hard, hustling, grinding, full-time job, full-time school, and entertaining on stage Thursday through Sunday. I was dead tired hustling and grinding until one day I stuck my key in my lock at my house and just stood there, comatose. I was that tired. Has that ever happened to you? Then this show is for you. Welcome.
Hey, Auntie.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Your Auntie show. Tonight, we have a really intense topic, but it is something that I think hits all of us at one time or another. I'm Paige Means Hopper. I'm here with my girls, as usual, Auntie Genoa and Auntie Rose, and
Yes.
excited to be here. Ladies, hey, ladies, how are you?
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
I'm so excited always.
Yes, we're excited to have you too. Everybody, Auntie Rose just had like a road trip and she's a little bit tired, but she made it because she wanted to be with us tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Show must go on.
Yes, absolutely. So you know what? We're just going to jump into this because this is a topic, like I said, that has to hit everybody at one time or another. If you live in America, I don't care who you are, the culture tells us to push forward full speed at all times. Like, have you ever heard somebody say, I'm just hustling and grinding 24/7. I don't sleep, I don't eat. It's all about getting the bag, right?
Right.
We hear it over and over again. So we're going to look at what hustling and grinding really is. And we'll start as usual by going into the book and reading a section. And then we're just going to throw it to each other because, hey, we don't have a guest tonight. The book is the guest.
Yes.
Hi,
Yes.
whoever that is. Hi.
Right there, the book.
The book is tuned in.
Yes.
So, okay, let's go then. This is Healing, the wrong side, Healing the Wounds of American Slavery. Let me get it up here so you can really see what it looks like. Healing the Wounds of American Slavery. And this is the book that I wrote that we're going to read from tonight. We always talk about the historical context of our topic, and then we go into the cultural construct, today's way of being around that topic, and then we kind of go into our ideas and how we feel about it. And we also absolutely invite you to participate with us. Please ask us your questions, give us your comments, everything that you want to do in that comment box is perfectly fine with us, because we have our famous, fabulous producer with us tonight, and he's going to go ahead and screen those questions for us. So here we go. I am reading from Hustling and Grinding. Now, hustling and grinding comes under the heading of damaged belief system, right? So damaged belief system. Under damaged belief system comes distorted reality, scattered and unfocused, which we covered. And now we're covering hustling and grinding. So here we go. The energy of hustling and grinding is the same whether it's used for positive or negative purposes. When we're in alignment with God and our lives are in balance, we are not really hustling. We're only working to get where He would have us go in a timely manner. But when we are hustling to project a certain image, to prove ourselves to the world, to attain what others have, or to fulfill a sense of unworthiness, our hard work leaves us empty. That's because we're reaching for something unachievable, no matter how hard we hustle and grind. Remember, even God rested.
That's right.
That part.
Ufar, found in the etymology of the word hustle, rhymes with too far. Above and beyond that which is necessary. Being driven. Our lives are purpose given, not purpose driven. God does not call us to drive toward our purpose. Material things are a deficient substitute for what is truly lacking: respect, recognition, and unconditional love. Many of us find ourselves forced into dangerous and unhealthy patterns and practices on the hunt to quench that thirst. Hustling pushes us roughly and unlovingly, taking the joy out of our journey to wholeness. It can coerce us into hurried choices based on false or missing information. What will we gain when we arrive at where we think we want to be? What are we rushing to do? Why? We find ourselves racing against time, racing against each other, rushing to reach impossible standards of perfection.
No such
Put that word in your pocket. Perfection. Put a pin in it. We'll be back to that. We constantly compete against one another. Hustling swindles and cheats us out of our natural and organic way of relating and supporting one another and united mutual agendas. It can force us to create false narratives that support the appearance that we have arrived. How often have we heard that eating and sleeping is for losers? Or I'm on my grind 24/7. For what? To get where? Do we feel that these goals will complete us? We know numerous accounts of how we grind ourselves into an early grave by hustling on the streets to secure a certain lifestyle, or by honorable means, working 2, 3, or even 4 jobs to feed our families, put children through college, or reach other practical life goals. Also, remember, there's an idea in the Black community that we have to work twice as hard to get half as far.
Right.
This deep-seated belief intertwines with internalized self-hatred to create a constant nagging need to prove our self-worth at all times and by any means necessary. We're talking about hustling and grinding, y'all. This belief, this wound, has been passed down for generations. We've been conditioned to think that in order to succeed, we must stand out, be noticed, accepted, and rewarded. We must always hustle, grind, and strive for perfection to prove how hard we are working in school, on our jobs, and in the eyes of our communities and the world. And we work most hard to maintain the optics that our lives are perfect. This phenomenon is exacerbated by the internet. The internet is like a high-tech brag book of old. Back in the day, grandmothers would carry little books with photos of their children and grandchildren around in their pocketbooks. Pocketbooks. And at every opportunity, they would whip those things out and relentlessly brag about every single proud moment of their offspring's achievements. Facebook, Instagram, and other internet platforms are like brag books on steroids. With the click of a button, everyone's life is on full display. But is their life real life? It almost sickens me to see Black people straining, exuding energy and resources to try to prove they're living attention-worthy lives. They post the perfect image of themselves, hustling and grinding, conducting image management to hold up these facades of perfection, to cover their internal sense of insecurity induced by feelings of inferiority. This is really only a lame attempt to heal the wounds of rejection, which are residual wounds from slavery. The irony of hustling and grinding is that there's no security or satisfaction to be found in it. Instead, it most often yields fleeting gratification and dissatisfaction that only lead to the next hustle. Like a junkie, always chasing the next high. So again, what is our hurry? What are we really searching for? Hustle and hurry pressing unnecessarily can lead us to exhaustion and exposes us to defeat. Because at the heart of hustling is the idea that there's something wrong that needs to be fixed now. There is an emptiness that needs to be filled. It is as if we are rushing to solve problems that might require more time for us to figure out whether we are even addressing, let alone solving, the right problems. The idea is that if we fix the unresolved issue, we will finally be happy or whole. We believe if we could just get ourselves on equal footing with the others, economically, educationally, politically, and so on, we'll be okay. Here's what I've discovered. There's absolutely no rush when the goal is to dive deeply into our wounds and be cleansed of the stressors of comparison that lead us to hustle and grind in order to catch up or to surpass others. Don't get me wrong though, moments of a brand of hustling and grinding may sometimes be essential to breaking through walls that block the path to our real goals. But we do not need to be in perpetual hustle and grind mode to prove ourselves to anyone.
Right.
So aunties, here we are, hustle and grind. One of the things that I did in preparation for tonight is I went ahead and just went out in the thesaurus and looked up hustle and grind to see if this is the way we want to live our lives, right? Hustle and grind. Everybody's out here hustling, grinding, grabbing for those bags. To hustle, push roughly, bump, knock, shove, nudge, elbow, shoulder, crowd.
I'm tired just listening to the list. Good Lord.
Pressurize, coerce, force, compel, badger, pester, hound, harass.
This is hustle?
It's Harry.
Man.
Prod, spur, browbeat. You got to browbeat somebody into collaborating with you or getting what it is that you need. Is that what the word tells us to do? Bludgeon.
I didn't know what I did.
Bulldoze, steamroll, strong arm, and fast talk.
Ooh.
That's hustle. Grind, crush, pound, pulverize, granulate. That's grinding somebody down into like dust and molecules, right? Grate, like some cheese. Mince and shred, like some meat. Crumble.
Could you melt me and put me together, please?
Match, fragment. And this one is the best of all. Move laboriously.
Wow.
Oppress, persecute, tyrannize, suppress, afflict, maltreat, and scourge.
Ain't that scourge what they did to Jesus?
Hustle and grind. Now, let's get into this.
Oh my God.
So I was saying at the beginning that there was a time when I felt the need to hustle and grind. And I did it quite unconsciously, actually. And I was working a full-time job. I was going to school full-time in a PACE program, which is already like, and then working in San Francisco on stage in the play for Colored Girls Who Have Considered Suicide When the Rainbow's Enough, right? So I'm doing all of these at once because I had told myself, or my mind told me, let me put it that way. My mind told me that, I'm running out of time and I have to do it all at once. Otherwise, I'm never going to get it done. And that came from my mother's death at 48. She died of breast cancer. Not 2 years later, my brother died of a heart attack. He was 35. And so my mind told me, oh, you're next. And so it to this hustle and grind mode. So I know what that is. I know what that feeling is. It leaves you completely, for me, it left me completely depleted to where I came in from rehearsal one night, stuck my key in my door and stood there. I just completely blanked out. I had nothing, not even the strength to turn the key and go inside.
Mm.
And the neighbor found me standing there
Well, when did
and
you sleep? When did you sleep?
fed me.
When
Let's
did
talk
you
about it.
sleep?
When did I sleep? Well,
Yes.
see, like that culture is out there right now. Sleep is for punks and losers.
Yes.
Time for that. No time to eat, no time to sleep, no time to rest. I'm just chasing the bag. I'm just trying to get my life done. About where that all comes from. Have either of you ever had an experience like that?
Definitely. I mean, especially, just in the early days of Coleman and Smith Artistic Company, I was answering the phones while I was in the bathroom.
Wow.
It was just hustle, grind. It was no time to sleep, because we had to wear like 30 hats a piece, doing the lights, the sound, the collecting money, advertising, and then calling around to groups and then directing, and then calling the actors for rehearsal, and we just had to do it all. And it was, I know when you said that you didn't have time, I was in a play and then learning my lines. My time was going to the bathroom, and that's where I had the time to learn my lines, or driving and have somebody to read them to me, because I didn't physically have the time to set aside to learn them. So I know exactly what you mean. It's just hustle. It's go, go, go. It's always exhausted, but then ready to do it again.
Right.
Because you're right. You feel like if you don't, it's not going to happen. You got to make sure, you got to be on point. So I get it. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. One of our viewers right now is saying that fear, it comes from the fear of failure. And we know, based on our study of the wound so far, that fear is the main culprit. Like, that's the granddaddy of all wounds. And so there's always fear at the root of it. But what fear does is it works together with other wounds to bring the most disaster, most destruction to a situation. So does that ring true for you? Like, there was some fear in there that we're not going to make it, or what was driving you?
You know what? What was driving me, because I just refused, just like you said, I'm not a quitter. I'm not a loser. I'm not, I don't quit. I'm going to do this. Failures quit, because once you quit, it's done. It's over. So I just kept grinding. We just kept grinding over, just saying we're going to do this because we know that it's going to pay off. We just got to keep going no matter what. Okay, so we have to take food out of the refrigerator and go feed the cats. We got to take our couch and chairs and everything that we have in our apartment and go set it up for furniture. Or me and my husband going out on the street looking for furniture on the side of the road to be set pieces. It was just grind, hustle, grind, hustle.
What about you, Auntie Genoa?
Well, as a former workaholic myself, I had 4 little ones. They liked my oldest was a big eater and everything. And I went from struggling in my parents' house to struggling with my little family. And my husband, he did the best he could do, but there's a lot of times there was a lot more month left over at the end of the money. And so I was taking care of them. I had a job. He had a job. I had a side hustle. I was braiding hair and all kinds of stuff to keep money in the house, even if it was just a little bit, because he would get his check. And by the time everything was paid, we had like $15, $10 or $15. With 4 kids, what you gonna do with that? So I started doing all this extra stuff. And if they had overtime at the job, I worked the overtime and everything, because my fear that was driving me is I didn't want to be outdoors. And me and my children did at one point, we were homeless for a short period of time. And I told myself that would never happen again. And so anytime there was some hours and everything, I just work, go to work. If I didn't show up to work, if I was late, the job called me because they know that I was gonna be there. If I signed up for some work, they know I'm going to be there, and they'll call me. They'll look out for me. Hey, Pete, we got some of this work over here. Work.
Yeah.
And one day I just, because my children are adults now, but one day I had an epiphany, because usually when you work overtime, you're earmarking that money for something. And it got to the point where the money that you earmarked, something will always happen when it was time for it to get in your hands.
Yeah. So you know what? This reminds me, Janelle, this reminds me of a conversation that you and I have often, and it's about good times. Good times. And how, and I noticed now that we had that conversation, what you say about it is that, in the show Good Times, every time they're just about to have a breakthrough, right, that something would happen and they would have this huge setback. And so they were always living in poverty and fear and, just debasement, just total debasement. So what I want to do is go back to what I read about our ancestral or generational patterns of the belief that we have to work twice as hard to get half as far, where that comes from. Because where that comes from is assimilation, right? Assimilation to this culture. Like, we have to work twice as hard to get just as far, to have what it takes to look like, give the optics.
Look like.
Keeping up with the Joneses. We're looking like we have something,
Right.
Because even if we are sometimes living in a shack, we might have a luxury car. Even if sometimes we are living in grandmama's basement, we have all the newest Air Jordans and all that stuff, and we're just fresh to death when we go outside. So it comes from this perfection, this image of perfection and needing to be pristine in the eyes of others. And really, what's behind perfection is pride. But pride, watch this, pride is a mask for shame.
Yeah.
So coming out of, thank you, yeah, facts, right, coming out of enslavement, ancestors. Now you remember, I know that we're all from a generation that remembers, you didn't just go outside looking any old kind of way because
you would get clowned and it'll last a lifetime.
Yes, right, insecurity for sure. Yes, you would be clowned for a lifetime, right?
Yes.
Even if your clothes weren't new, clean and pristine. Because you're representing the family. Now, unless you came from a family that was so dysfunctional that they couldn't even cover up the shame with the things, because they're so hard, they're hustling and grinding so hard, or the opposite of that, doing absolutely nothing because they were petrified and frozen, right? But at the end of the day, what also comes into play is comparison.
Yes.
Now, that is huge right now, especially with social media. Is, I've always got to have on something new. Oh, they saw that already. So even if I have to dip into my grocery money, even if I have to dip into my kids' college fund, even if I need to look a certain way. And with us is, it really comes down to our hair, our clothes, so it just is this cycle. Are we subconsciously, I wonder too, are we subconsciously trying to make up for lost ground and time? And what I mean by that is, when our ancestors came out of enslavement, there was a certain way of being economically, there was a certain way of being that they were trying to get something. They were trying to get somewhere. They were trying to have something for future generations. And so, but economically, we were way behind the 8 ball, right? Like they had used our ancestors to build the economy to the point where their progeny never had to worry about a thing. But our progeny was suffering. I mean, our current generation was already suffering. And unless they did something really quick, like hustle and grind, get it together, then we weren't going to have anything. So in terms of making up for lost ground and making up for lost time, what I think is that this generation, us on down, I think very intergenerationally. So when I say this generation, I mean who's alive on earth right now.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
And so are we feeling that pressure and that grind from past generations through our DNA? Are we just feeling that pressure? Or even if not our DNA, just this societal, cultural construct where we like, we got to hurry up and do something so that our kids and grandkids and great grandkids can have something. I know, you've spoken of that before. Why don't you hit that first?
Okay. The thing is, because I know that the way I was raised and the way I raised my children and the construct of the young people now is totally way different. There's some days I have to backpedal, but I always wanted to be able to. But my favorite scripture in the Bible, it says, "A good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children." But the thing is, when I was coming up, that they didn't just hand you something. They taught you how to use it. I remember being a little child learning how to iron. They had pillowcases, and somebody sat there and patiently taught you how to do everything you need to do. And I have this meme right here speaks to this generation right here. This boy got on Facebook and he said, "Man, I asked this girl to fix me some cornbread. Look at this." And there was a picture of a pan with a slice of bread and some corn on it.
Right. I think I was speaking more. I know that you're talking in terms of teaching day-to-day kind of.
No, what I'm saying is, this is what I'm saying. The thing is, we expect things from our young people to be able to do things that we're not teaching. We're not teaching that the values are not being taught, the reasoning behind stuff. Like, okay, my grandchildren, they've been in Nana's Nana school, and some of the stuff that they're not getting from their parent is the stuff that I filled in. And when I talk to them, I listen to them to hear what they're saying, but then I explain to them why this, that, and the other. Because the thing is, you can't just tell them to do something and you don't have no reason why. They're like, why would I do all of it? Why?
Right. And then, nobody is really, I won't say nobody is, because that's not the truth. But the majority of African-American Black families, I call us Black Americans, the majority of us are not teaching economics and finances. And that is important. And that's what I was speaking of more when I asked you the question, because definitely they need the personal care. They need to know how to do daily tasks in order to survive and live and really, pass that on. I'm thinking of the conversations that we've had around, where you have said to me, I need to do something to build a legacy, a financial legacy for my children. And that, they won't end up in the hustle and grind culture, so that they can take the time to slow down and really think about what it is that they're here for, their purpose, their mission, as opposed to just grabbing bags. Because what is the point of having a bag if you don't know what to do with it? The audience is loving the point that you made, though. Just blaming the next generation, even though they don't know. We haven't taught them what to do. Yeah. That is so true. What about you, Auntie Rose?
Well, you know what? I just need to maybe clarify from earlier. It's definitely fear-based, the hustle and the grind. Just remembering, my grandmother and, all the old folks will say, and making sure that hair was in place. The shame of going out and your lips are cracked, or you, heaven forbid, if you had
ashy knees,
ashy legs, all of that, because folks gonna talk. So it's almost like assimilation, because we covered our hair because they told us our hair was nappy. we covered our, we covered up because they said we were, the dark one is ugly, the light one is prettier, and all that fear-based and hustle and grind is to say, no, I'm gonna assimilate, I'm gonna straighten my hair, you watch, I'm gonna be just like you, I'm gonna bend over backwards, I'm gonna be double more than you, and you're gonna need me. And
Right.
you know what, that's what the hustle is. It's like we assimilated, and then we got out there and just wanted acceptance, but changing our ways and changing the way we are, our natural ways. That's why, I really admire the generation, of, the fro, the hair is natural, it's all right for it to be natural, and it's beautiful the way it is, and they love it, and everybody else do too. But before, it just goes back to what the viewer said earlier, it is based on fear. Everything that we did, folks gonna talk. I got to make sure my children okay. I got to get in. I got to work, because a lot of people work 2 and 3 jobs. They work 2 and 3 jobs. I had uncles and my aunts. They did this. They did side hustles and ironing and stuff on the side. And people going taking care of some elderly person. They did that. It was a hustle just to make things better for themselves.
Yes.
And you're right, to try to show an example, to leave example so they can do better, so the next generation can do better.
Yeah. And it's interesting because on the one hand, there is an unhealthy hustle.
Yes.
Unhealthy hustle where you are just grinding yourself into mental illness.
Yes.
Physical illness, psychological illness, spiritual illness. You don't slow down. You don't take the time to really put your feet in some sand or some grass. Take a book with you to the park. Breathe. Smell the roses. There's that unhealthy grind and hustle. Then there's the flip side of that where you're doing honorable things. You have 2 or 3 or 4 decent jobs, not selling drugs. You're not trying to, do someone wrong. You're not committing crimes. But at the same time, that can also grind you into the dust. And so there's just this balance that, and I don't like to use that word all the time, balance, because what is balance? At the end of the day, we have to do what we have to do. But at the same time, I think it's very important that we be conscious of what's at the root of our hustle or what we're doing, because there will be times when you need to speed it up. Because God has something for you and you need to reach your divine appointment or your destiny at the appointed time, right? But then there's another one where I'm just personally, consciously, trying to make it happen. I used to call it my make it happen button. How people has that button, that red button? Well, I used to have the make it happen button. But the more that I slowed down to realize what my actual purpose is, to really think, to really read, to really write, to really pray, to meditate, to take time in my relationships with people. Because when you're on that hustle and grind, what the tendency is that I see out here is that people only go into relationship in order to collaborate to get a bigger bag. And so they're using and manipulating and maneuvering and, just doing all those things that are on that list, that hustle list. Tricking and fast talking and coercing and all these things. So I just think it's important to take a moment.
No, I totally agree with you. You brought me to mind of Lorraine Hansberry, Raising in the Sun, where that husband worked and worked and worked till he died. And then of course, they had that money, but it was that was $10,000 was his life. That was his life because he worked himself to death.
Right. Grinding.
Grinding.
And
working.
Then what was transferred to his son was this mentality that I got to make a move. I got to do something. I got to make something happen. And that's what happens when we get into a hustle and grind mentality, is that we're not thinking straight and we're liable to fall into any trap that's out there.
Exactly. That's exactly what
The
happened.
the other thing is the people that we're working for, because we're hustling, grinding, we're not spending that time, and they're falling through the cracks. The people that you're hustling, grinding for is falling through the cracks because you don't got time for them.
That's true.
Oh, the family. Right.
That's true.
You don't have time. You don't have time for them. Family asking, hey, we got this going on. Come on, sit down and relax and everything. Girl, I got to go. I got to work. I got this extra work. I got this project over here. Blah 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 blah. They come back and they're all rested and relaxed and everything, and you all are tired. You can't even think good. But you could have used that relaxation. Like this weekend, I could have worked extra. I could have worked the extra hour, but I won some tickets to go to the Watermelon Festival, and I went out there. And when I tell you, it was so relaxing. It was nice. A free watermelon. They had music. There was families all spending time together. They had the tents out, so you can sit down and relax and eat. They had like a hand washing station. They had petting zoo. They had everything there. And I was, because usually when I have an opportunity to work, I will work. But I didn't got to the. I don't do that anymore. I need to relax, because you know what? Either you rest or your body will make you rest. And when your body make you rest, it's not going to be at a good time.
No.
It's not gonna be at a good time, but it was just awesome, and I had such a relaxing weekend. And when you get close to towards the end of your life, you're not gonna be thinking, "Dang, I wish I had worked that last hour and added $50 to my check." No, $50. It's about the relationships, because I was hanging out with my good friend and her friend, and we was able to relax and talk and laugh and just enjoy, and that did my heart and my body more good than me, because once they take the taxes out, you ain't got that much money. Come on, let's be real. Let's be real.
The viewer said that along with the fear and the perfection and the shame and all that, it also is insecurity. And I think that is absolutely true. And the reason I think that's true is because when we're hustling and grinding and pushing and shoving and coercing and all of that, it's like we're trying to get to a goal that we believe is going to complete us.
Yes. That's so true.
I got a story for y'all that we're already complete.
Yes.
God said we're complete. If we don't work another job, if we don't go get another degree, if we don't grind and hustle for another bag, we're still complete. Now, is there anything wrong with wanting more money? No, absolutely not. Nicer things, the finer things in life, all of that. I like all of that. Don't you, ladies?
Yes.
We like all of that. But
yes.
But not at the expense of lacking the self-care that one of our viewers told us is important.
Right?
Yes.
And also what you both pointed out, which we've all pointed out, and that's our relationships.
Yes.
That's so important, because at the end of the day, that's really all that matters.
That's the truth.
It's like Auntie said, taking the time with the babies, taking the time to make sure that they have all that they need to do all of that personal care for themselves throughout life, and to be able to support themselves and do all the things that we can sit down and talk to them about, as long as we're not out there constantly on the hustle and grind.
It's in our DNA. The hustle and the grind. It's come from slavery. That fear base of, I got to get that 200 pounds of cotton, or I got to do this, I got to do that. It's in our DNA. It's just, we're just gonna have to find a way to get out of it. And I just listened to Auntie Genoa's story. Just relaxed me, So it is nice to stop and smell the roses.
It is.
So, but it is in our DNA to hustle and grind. It really is.
I believe it is. I honestly believe that it is. Auntie Genoa, you look like you got something on your mind.
I did. I wanted to share this. This is so funny.
Please.
Okay. As you guys know, I just recently relocated back here, and I've been going through my stuff and everything. Because when you're hustling and grinding, after you get the things that take care of the stuff you need, then you start getting things that you think you want. Why? I got 3 boxes, the pack boxes, and I found brand new boots and shoes I'm never gonna wear. They're getting ready to go on OfferUp or whatever. I'm not wearing them things. Stiletto boots is this high, so I could be walking around thinking I'm cute and I'm about to break my ankle. But the thing is, when I bought that stuff after I took care of everything, I was trying to find something to do. And you were talking about the shoes and stuff to try to cover up and make it seem, your image seem like, oh yeah, I'm balling all out of control. And what I was thinking when I saw them shoes? I was like, dang, I mean shoes and purses. I was like, dang, I wish I had the money for this stuff. I could do something I actually want.
Right. So someone wants to know, how long did it take you to get to the place to enjoy and appreciate what living life offers? Wow. So I like that question, and I would reframe it just a little bit, and I would say, what did it take?
Deliberate.
Because it takes as long as it takes for you to realize, first of all, to slow down and stop and realize. Like, ask yourself questions. The first question that came up for me was, why am I doing this? I promise you, during that period of time, I had a planner. I still have planners, but I had a planner. And inside of that planner were, like, how they have the squares for the months, and then they have a little bit of side margin. I had the entire book on every page filled to the brim. It got so bad that I even scheduled bathroom breaks.
Dang.
Oh, wow.
It's horrific. And so I had to ask myself, am I telling myself to do this? Or is there something in my mind telling me to do it? And if there's something in my mind telling me to do it, then what is that? Where did it come from? And how do I get rid of it? Auntie Genoa brought up a very good point, which is that if you don't slow down, your body will slow down, and you don't want that. I got to a point where I couldn't sleep well, and then everything that I ate would go right through me, would just go right through me. The nutrition wouldn't hang on. And so I had to stop. And so again, the point is not how long did it take. The point is, what is it that led me to that? And at that point, what happened? And so at the point that I realized what was happening, then I needed prayer. I needed to educate myself as to why this was occurring. And then when I did finally slow down, now I'm pretty smart. So now
I keep smart all along, lady.
And so what I thought was, you know what? I made the connection. Oh, I get what's going on. I think that I'm not going to be able to finish everything that I need to do before I leave the earth. So I better do it right now. And that's what I thought. So it's the what. What does it take to get to the point where you enjoy and appreciate what living life offers? And once I realized what I was doing to myself, then I could make a choice. And my choice was, I want to be with my friends. I want to be with my family. I want to eat a meal and be able to keep it down. With that now. But it's about, what do I really love? I loved theater. I loved school. I loved learning. I loved working out. I love, so it's really taking a moment. And the way that we're on this conveyor belt right now, especially with AI coming in and people really not connecting human to human, but it's more machine oriented. Our relationships are more mechanized, right? we have to be conscious of that. Don't just drift into it because it's fun, because it's exciting, because the filters make me look cute, and all that. That's all great. But at the end of the day, realize that we're in a pot like a frog, right? They talk about you put a frog in a pot of cold water and just turn up the heat a little bit, and the frog never realizes it's being boiled.
Oh, yeah.
That's what's happening with us right now, is if we put down the hustle and the grind that, as Auntie Rose said, it does come through our DNA through slavery, that hurry up, pick a lot, pick cotton, because if we could die, we could be whipped, we could be sold away, we could have our family disintegrated even more than it was in the moment, so it's all of those things combined.
Yes.
Now that we know that this is where it's coming from, we've slowed down. In this opportunity right now, in this moment, we've slowed down and we're taking a look at what this is all about.
Yes.
So now we can make choices now that we know where it's coming from. We don't have to just go on that conveyor belt and just go on that bullet train through life, hustling and grinding to get a bag for what? Did you even slow down long enough to think about what you would do with the bag once you get it?
Most people don't. They don't.
I'm going to buy stuff. I'm going to consume.
Right.
Because we're the number one consumers on the planet. Black America, the number one consumers on the planet. That's why everything is marketed toward us. The J's, the Air Jordans, the clothes, the everything, the hair, hair.
Yes, the shoes. Yes.
Dollar market. Where's
the
our
jewelry?
corner? Where's our corner? The jewelry, the blood diamonds.
Yes.
We drip ourselves with all that.
And we had chains around our neck, and now it's like so many chains around the neck, but it's gold or silver. It's still.
Yeah. And the branding, I won't even go into that. The branding. And I'm not talking about branding yourself as a company or a, organization.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Real enterprise.
That's real.
Branding. Why would we do that? That's a whole other show.
It is.
I promise you, that's a whole other show. But we're coming down to the last 15 minutes of our show, and I want to make sure that, each of us has had an opportunity to say what it is that we need to say and to talk to our audience. And I guess really what we wish to convey tonight is we're talking about damaged belief systems. Something caused us to be triggered to go into hustle and grind mode. One of the things that I realize is this current generation, and when I say that, I'm talking about the young among us, the ones who are standing on the shoulders and riding on the backs of those who came before even us, right? So that we've gotten to a place now where we are the most educated that we've ever been before at this time in history. We have more money than we've ever had before this time in history. We have access to more information that we've ever had before this point of time in history. And so this generation has all of the resources, in a sense, to do whatever it is they want to do. And the majority of them are doing what they see others doing. The trending, they call it trending, right? But all that is imprinting your life based on something everyone else is doing.
Right.
And being an individual. So that would be my message to our audience tonight, is to take the time to stop, educate yourself on who you are, pray, meditate, take time. We live here in California. I am prone to just hit the beach at any time, any day, when I feel that I'm spinning out of control and I'm not listening to my heart. I'm not listening to my mind. I'm not listening to God. I'm not listening to what's real for me. So in that, I would say, take the time, take it, rob it from yourself.
Yes.
Rob it, just create boundaries. That was our very first show. Creating boundaries, hard boundaries that give you space to do and be who you are. And that would be my takeaway.
That's good.
Awesome.
What I would say, because I used to be around, that spirit of comparison is really, really big. But I had a pastor in Michigan that used to tell us that everybody had God put something in everyone. And he said that if you're trying to be somebody else, who's going to be you?
Mm.
So when people's like, "Oh, I wish I had this like you," I said, "Well, if you want, if you're trying to be me, what's going to be you?"
I gotta say one little thing about that too. If you're busy trying to, first of all, sometimes you want to be somebody else. What you don't know is what it takes for them to have what they have and be who they are. And you know what? I wouldn't want it.
Exactly.
Yep.
I totally agree. And just to piggyback off of Auntie Genoa with saying just God did put something different in all of us. No one shines like you as an individual. No one has that what you have because it's a gift. And it's so important that we realize our individuality, if you say, because it is so important, and it's just the best thing that I think is the best gift. But what I really want to say really quickly is I've been inspired tonight. I really have, because I know that I run, I move, I just like, let's go. What's next? What's next? I got to do this. And now I have to stop and say, you know what? I need a breath. So this has helped me right now. Even though intellectually I understood it, but just hearing it, just going through the process, just hearing the stories and just hearing the information, I'm like, okay, I get it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, this little book is no joke, y'all, for real.
It is no joke.
No joke. Healing the Wounds of American Slavery. And one of the things that's coming to mind for me to say too is, I didn't even know I was going to say this, but when we find ourselves in hustle and grind mode,
now that I know what it means,
what will happen is that because our minds are racing, certain people will come along and begin to attach themselves to us in our inner circle, and we don't even realize it's happening until it's done. Or we attach ourselves to people that we have no business attaching ourselves to, but only because we think they're going to help us get to the bag faster.
Oh my God.
What a disaster.
That is a lie. They want what little bag you got.
Right. That could set you back. Right? That could set you back, because now once you come to yourself, like the product. Now, Daddy, I want to go to the strip club. Well, I don't know if they had strip clubs then, but he wanted his money then. He wanted his inheritance then, right? I want to go drink and frolic and be with the people of the world, and ended up in the pig pen. Right. I can't even imagine what the prodigal son went through. Because
well, I know what a pig pen looked like and smelled like.
Imagine living among the pigs and eating corn husks. And you are the one with the divine inheritance. You are the master of your own life under your heavenly Father. And you are the one who is meant to live this amazing life. But because you going over there and going over here hustling, you missed it. But there's always a second chance. With God, there's always a second chance. Always. And sometimes a third. But you may not get exactly what you were supposed to get because you missed your absolute divine appointment chasing after that.
Yeah.
On that note,
bigger bag.
Bigger is not always better. And all that glitters is not gold. Oh, we got a message from Darren. Just got out of ER, thinking I got to get back to getting moved into our house. Oh, okay. Okay, I guess that's related to hustling and grinding. You got to get
Yeah,
back
yes.
moved into his. What a
Okay.
blessing this has been tonight. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We really appreciate you joining us. We're going to be having a live event. We're working on workshops and courses and all the things where we can come together and we can stop and pause and really look at our lives and look at where we are, who we are, what is our personality and our character, and how can we move forward in the things that will take us to where we are really supposed to go.
Right.
And with people that we're really supposed to do it with.
Right.
And so keep your eyes and ears peeled. It is absolutely coming soon. We have a bunch of videos on YouTube under We Are Your Aunties. And we also just want you to know that we love you. We're thinking of you. We're praying for you. And we may not have all of the answers, but we have a lot of questions and we have to get to the bottom and the root of it together. And so with that, we will say good night. We love you. You're so special. And what Auntie Genoa said is true. There is no one else quite like you. If you are not you, the world will be missing something.
Yes.
Missing something. And you're robbing us.
Yes.
And you're robbing us. Because he put special gifts and talents in you and you alone. And it's to be operated through your personality and your personality alone. So if you don't step up and shine,
the world lacks.
The world will lack who you are and the gift that you are. And God gives us the gifts and talents, but we're supposed to give the talents and gifts back to him. And on that note, we really will say good night. We really enjoyed you. And we'll see you again next week with an equally incredible topic. Thank you, aunties. Thank you, DY. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Hey, Auntie.